All right, guys, welcome to our fourth episode of Into the Nexus, which again is a podcast for Wildstar. What I have with me is Chrissy from Mission Nexus. Hey, say hi, Chrissy.
Hey.
And I have Chief Sarkan from Wildstar fans and MMORPG.com. Say hi, Chief.
Hello.
That is the Chief, and again, welcome you too. Thank you all for coming again. I really appreciate it. So this week's discussion is going to vary a little bit because Carbine has just released new information about a new drop coming out, Sabotage, with a new battleground coming out, a new mount. They're also putting in, giving free trials away to people, like on specific websites such as Curse and whatnot, which is actually a really nice way for people to get their feet wet before they purchase the game. And we're just going to ramble on about some other random stuff that we've kind of encountered while playing Wildstar. So we'll start with I'm just waiting for you to get up and go. Did it again.
Not me.
So we'll start with well, just in general, I wanted your guys' opinions on, again, it seems like there's been quite a bit, the frequency in which they release content has actually been very desirable. It seems like every month, I'm not sure if it's a specific day or not. Has anybody noticed if there's a specific day that they put out content? But it seems like the beginning of the month they put out something new. You know, whether it be a new zone like we got last month, or again with this one we're getting it's a PvP drop, which is nice because a lot of PvPers have been waiting for it. So Chrissy, I want to know, I mean, do you think this is a good trend? Do you think that they could do more, or do you think this is kind of like a good medium for it?
I think it's right on track. I love that it's amazing that the game is less than 2 months old and we've got one major content drop already done, another one right around the corner. They've catered to PvE in one, they're catering to the PvPers, you guys. In the next one.
You guys, really? Really? You guys. All right, I'll remember that.
It looks awesome, though. It looks cool. And I think this might be a battleground I would actually try. Maybe be on the defensive side rather than the offensive side.
Now let me ask you something, because I'm kind of curious that you said that you would specifically try this one. Were you not interested in the other ones, or is it just this one kind of caught your eye more than the others too?
This one has caught my eye more than the others, but the other ones I did try one once, and it just seemed like such a crazy cluster, and I was really confused the whole time. I still don't really understand the concept or where things are on the map, even though I've done it. So this one seems a little more straightforward, and I like the more teamwork aspect of it, I guess. And the bombs. Well, okay. I just really like the bombs.
Really?
The bombs.
Well, it's and I can understand where you're coming from, especially from someone who maybe they've not played the battlegrounds as much. But again, hearing the release of a new one, even though we've already gotten two, is actually pretty sweet in and of itself. It's just, again, with the chaotic nature of battlegrounds, and I know we've discussed this before, I think, that it's not really something you should take to heart in which PvP really stands for in this game, because at the end of the day, it's kind of like a cluster F in a sense, you know what I mean? It really is. See, I watch myself, okay? It really is in essence. I mean, granted, you can probably get a team together and fight against another pre-made, and then it'd be a lot more organized, but at the end of the day, what it really is just that, right? So, again, I can understand where you're coming from. I get it. It's because that was my first experience when I first went into it. I'm like, I'm just going to go kill people, even though the objective is like right there. I don't know. It felt a little weird at first, but I think it kind of grows on you a little bit, and I think... especially, you know, you're going to enjoy the one with the bombs more than anything else. They have mounts, too.
Yeah, the bombs.
The bombs. All right, Chief, again, I wanted to know your opinion as well, like the whole, the pacing of the releasing of content, what you guys think about coming in, with the new content coming out as well as previous content that's been released. What do you think?
I'm actually, I think, a little bit on the other side of the coin. I'm wondering if they're putting out so much so fast that there's going to be undue expectations down the road. I don't want them to burn out. We got a phenomenal game. They've been doing phenomenal updates and content adding, but at the same time, in some respects, I feel like maybe it's a little too fast for how much they're giving. And it's great at the beginning, but what's going to happen in 6 months if they can't keep up with the rigid pace? And what's that going to do to the expectation? I like lots of little updates. You know, they're doing something small every month, but the big ones maybe need to be spread out just a little bit more. I appreciate the content update that we're getting, but I have reservations at the frequency and the speed that they're doing it.
Right. I can't help but look at your beard. I love it. It looks so good. Good man.
I like the beard. It looks very good.
Now, let me ask you a question based on what, on you know, just your personal opinion on that. Do you mean just in general, or maybe if, for say, there may be a drop-off of subscriptions? Like, if you don't mind me asking, like, what exactly do you mean?
Well, the internet is a very ugly place.
Yes, it is.
And trends tend to happen, and when people see a trend in something, they expect it to just keep happening. So I'm wondering if the level of interest, if they don't keep up with the rigorous pace, may start to wane just because the updates aren't there. If they start spreading out, and now instead of 1 month, they're 2 months, and then after that it's 3 months for the next big content update, what's going to do that to the level of fervor involved with the game? Not that the game's going to change in its enjoyment, but it's the expectation that just being online and everything people do seems to have on people's attitudes. So I think we're doing really well right now. I'm just kind of hesitant on undue expectations, you know. If you overperform for a long time, then all of a sudden you can't keep up. You know, it's kind of a reputation thing.
Right.
What happens?
I can see that also being an issue in the sense that, say, older content gets faded out. I'm sure we've all seen that in many games where it's more so emphasized upon when an expansion comes out. But, you know, when you have like just a giant patch come out that releases new zones and new content, therefore leaving the older content to be almost obsolete. That's what I'm afraid of too, you know, that's a big issue. What's up?
Yeah, exactly. And to add to that, the problem is we are only at 2 months, and there's a great many of us, me being included, that haven't been able to experience even the current zones at launch. You know, I'm still level 20. I haven't seen a ton of content in this game since we launched. Now, true, I was part of the testing, so I've seen almost everything. But because they're putting out so much so fast, exactly what you said, everybody charges off to the new one, nobody's doing the old one, and now I'm ready to do it. Right. You know, it starts causing divisions in the player base because of that, and we got to be careful with that. And that's another reason why I'm kind of hesitant to how fast they're putting out the major stuff. Right. Little stuff, bring it as often as you want. Big stuff, you got to really balance it. You really do.
I agree. I think you have some really valid points there that I didn't really think about because I was just so excited about having new stuff.
And bombs.
But I see what you're saying about the old zones too, because even I just hit 50 this last weekend, and I even noticed in the zones that finding groups to do the group boss kills was way more difficult than it was at launch. And already the zones are getting a little less populated, and it's a little more difficult. Even in my guild, people aren't running dungeons on regular mode anymore. It's all bet this, bet that. So I definitely see your points here.
Well, and that's the biggest reason why I'm really kind of looking to switch servers, because I want to get into a much larger guild where you potentially have someone to group with you for the lower content. Not because it's their first time through, but because they're actually working on alts. And it's pretty sad that you got to go look for alts to level with when you're playing for the first time.
Right.
You know, but that's just, it's the nature of the beast when you have a game that lets you level so fast and has so much content. You know, they put out that first patch, what do they call it, the purple stuff, the
strain.
The strain. There you go. I was get the name.
It's gotta be purple.
They put out the strain, and everybody was off to the new strain zone.
Oh yeah, right away.
Most people have even touched the primary zone. So anyway,
they want new stuff. We all do. We
Yeah,
like new shiny stuff. We see new shiny stuff. It's what we want. And again, it's like you said, especially with the shiny beard. I can't get over that. You should put some oil on that.
Silverish.
Silver. Just shine it up. No, gray or silver, it's fine. I love it. Well, this sort of brings me back to some of the experiences that I had when I, again, with previous MMOs. And you said it. You kind of brought up a good point, Chief. Is with the leveling curve in this game. It's fast, very fast. I was able to get to 50 in 3 days. Granted, I'm not a filthy casual. Wink, wink.
No job. Oh, wait.
But in all seriousness, I've seen people do it much faster, and I think that's a little bit of an issue. It's not the game's fault. Well, in essence, it kind of is, but it's sort of the driving force of what MMOs have become, right? We want to get people perceive the end-game content to only just be at the max level, right? They don't think about this type of stuff when you first start leveling, towards the mid-levels or anything like that. They want to get to the last part of it, and that's when a lot of people tend to experience the fun, right? So, and I think a lot of people tend to be missing out, again, on these dungeons, on these adventures, ship hands. I haven't even touched ship hands, and I feel bad because I think I did it a couple times in beta, and I actually enjoyed it. It was the mindset of just skipping all this stuff, getting to max level, getting my attunement done, and then moving on. And again, in doing so, missed a lot of content from lore, just general content, bosses. There was this. This isn't really a spoiler. I hope not. I think it's in Whiterun. There's a. I'm sorry, White Veil. There is a. Laugh.
I skipped that zone, did you?
I'm senile. I'm senile. I didn't realize that a place in the zone, there's this golden mob that when you kill it or when you're a scientist and you scan it, it drops something that allows you to get this golden aura. Not a clue.
That aura is awesome.
Yeah, I still don't have it, but a friend of mine showed it to me, and I was like, just skip that. I had no idea. I skipped Sword Maiden, regular. I went straight to veteran like an idiot, and I got destroyed. But it goes back to the whole. We kind of feel spoiled, don't we? In a sense. What do you guys think? Honestly, I honestly feel like we're spoiled players, and are we not?
Well, and I think part of the problem with you missing all that content is while you still regret missing it and probably will go back to it, there's a large number of player base that skipped it, will never go back to it, and then complain that they have only dailies and dungeons to do it in-game. Mm-hmm. So it's a catch-22. Do you let the crowd get there, and then they may or may not have anything to interest them to do to keep them playing daily,
right? Or
do you make them take the time to earn getting there, give them lots of content, and then they leave before they even get to the end game? It's a really hard balancing thing. I remember when I played Dark Age of Camelot, it took me a year and a half to get to 50 the first time. And then when I finally got there, I was like, holy Matt, I made it. And then they made some changes to the game, and I had another 550s in 4 days because we figured out a way to, go into a special instance zone and just farm levels like crazy. But you've done it once. Why grind your way again, right?
Right. Chrissy, are you spoiled? Because I know I'm spoiled, and I know Frank is definitely. I mean, I know Chief is spoiled. He's got the beard. What do you think? Honestly, I mean.
I'm spoiled by the beard.
Yeah, me too.
But when you grow up, you can grow up.
I just can't help it now. Now I am a little bit. I skipped a few things too. I did one ship hand, skipped all the rest. I haven't done any of the dungeons on regular mode except Storm Talon and the second one, Kelvarath. Mm-hmm. And now I'm kind of in a not so great place because I'm at the point where I'm choosing to run these dungeons or go get rep. I have so much to do to get attuned that it's not even like part of my strategy to go back and do any of this yet. And I don't even know when I will. But I'll be sad that I missed it. I did more than you, though, apparently.
I think you did. I honestly believe so. I think you did a lot. Well, again, when you have that mindset of just jetting past everything, getting to that max level, you miss so much content. I missed a couple dungeons that I never knew existed. So it's bad. And the worst part about what's that, Chief?
I said I play it the other way. I spent a full week and a half in Derridon making sure that I completed everything before I left. You know, so it's just, and I still didn't complete everything. There's a couple of things I didn't finish, but you know, it's just, it's what you want out of the game that changes it. So
it's funny too, because that's how I started. I finished all of the starter zone quests and all of my path missions in the first 2.5 zones. And then all my guildies and all my friends were like, we're level 50. And I was like, I'm a scrub. And I just kicked it into high gear and
Don't you mean exile scum?
Went for it. No.
It just
Exiles win.
the thing I can recognize again from both of your point of view is that even though you may have slowed down to enjoy the content a little more, I think it's probably better off that way in a sense that you're actually enjoying what the game has to offer to the fullest extent, or to as far as that you want to go. Whereas someone like me, unfortunately, just decides to speed through the content, you know, in hopes and just do past experiences of, you know, everything being, every single piece of content, every single piece of end game is at the end, is at the max level. So I think what I can probably take away from this, again, learning from you guys and just in general, is slow it down. You know, just take it nice and slow. Unless you're going for world first, which, again, I already blew that boat. That never happened. But it's just a matter of enjoying yourself, right? I mean, at the end of the day, you're still paying for the game. You're still paying for a subscription, right? What does it?
Yeah.
What do you think is going to happen? Like, again, and this is just something I've noticed, and just sorry to go off topic just a tiny bit, is with every single MMO, especially one with a subscription model, I've noticed that no matter how good the MMO is, after the first month there's a huge drop-off. Every single time. Doesn't matter how good the game is. Every single time. And it actually astonishes me a little bit, because I consider Wildstar to be a very, very good game. Granted, it has its own bugs, it has its own, you know, exploits, it has things that it needs to fix, but like any other game, right? I mean, do you guys think that trend will continue? Do you think that maybe that there's something that maybe has been missed by this game to retain players? Because I can honestly tell you, well, yes, a lot of my friends have stayed. I can honestly say that a lot of my friends have also left too. What do you think, Chrissy?
I think I would say it's about 50-50 with people that I actually know who play, who stayed and went. I've also sold the game to a bunch of strangers. Every time I wear my Wildstar t-shirt somewhere, somebody asks about it, and I talk about it, and I don't stop until they promise to buy it, basically. So
peer pressure.
That's right.
So I don't know. It's hard to say. I know, like, even in our guild, we the first month you log in, there's over 20, 25 people online all the time, and now it's the numbers have dropped somewhat. So I think you're right. But I'm not worried about it at all, because I think enough people, the community, and I think enough new people are going to come in to maybe make up for those people who left.
All right. I hope so. I do, because, again, personal experience, especially with the combat system, it definitely seems like a solid game. No game has ever come out that's been bugless. If that game ever comes out, I will eat my hat. I will eat Chief's beard right now.
Wow.
Eat your beard.
I'm going to shave right now.
That's right.
Yeah.
But I mean, Chief, honestly, you've experienced. I mean, you've seen it. I mean, we would literally be going into denial now if we didn't accept the fact that the game has. I'm not saying it. Trust me, the game's not going anywhere. I know for a fact. There's a ton of people still there. But what I'm saying is that, again, when I look at my friends list, the numbers have dwindled. They have, especially after the first month, right? I mean.
Yeah, so I think you got to step back and look at it from a bigger picture. Back in the day when I started, there wasn't a lot of choices, so the number of game hoppers was much less. Nowadays, the market is saturated, and so it's not uncommon for someone to come in for that first 30-day subscription, because you buy the game, you get 30 days, and they're going to leave because they're still bouncing around, right? The trick is having a game that's good enough that entices them to come back and say, you know what, I am willing to pay for that. And usually that could be another month, maybe 2, maybe 3 down the road, but it's the philosophy today. I mean, even I do it because I'm a streamer. I play just about everything because that's what the audience wants. They want to see me doing and talking about all different games.
And your
You're
beard.
bouncing around, right? But Wildstar has the elements that after that 30 days, if they don't decide to resubscribe right then, odds are they're going to be back. It's just got enough there, and it won't bring everybody back. I would say 75% of the, maybe 70% of the people that play it will play it again, even if they take a break. That's just, it's there. Unlike a lot of other games, they go play it, they play it for the 30 days. They may not come back for years.
Right.
They might dabble if they hear some big patch content. I mean, World of Warcraft is trying to do that hooks now too, right? Oh, we got this new patch coming, and oh, you'll get a motorcycle if you resubscribe. People are signing up just to get a motorcycle.
The timing, yeah, the timing there is pretty impeccable on their part.
Yeah, so, you know.
Yeah. I think you're right, because in my family, we have 3 people who played at launch. We bought the box, we got the free month, and 2 of us are still playing. My son, like you, plays everything, and so he's playing a different game right now, but he just told me the other day, oh yeah, I'm going to play Wildstar again probably next month or maybe when school starts. So I know he's going to come back. He's not even paying for it, actually, because I am. But
Thanks, Mom.
but yeah, he's definitely going to come back, and he's excited to come back, and he loved the game. He's just doing other things right now.
Fair enough. I can understand that.
Yeah, you trend with your friends. I mean, if
You're not allowed to have a life, though.
Together, 3 of you want to go try something, you're going to go and try it even if you really want to stay. You know, it's just the nature of socialism. Or social gaming, right?
Socialism.
I misquoted that. Don't.
We're keeping that one.
Social gaming.
Socialism.
We're keeping it. All right. So now that we've kind of gotten that out of the way, because I really wanted to know you guys' opinions on that, and I was a little curious because again we've all seen it. It's going to happen with every single game that ever comes out that it piques anyone's interest. So I just wanted to know what you guys thought, and that was good. So we'll move on to the next subject of, again, the new content patch coming out. Again, this is more PvP focused, which is good for, people like me. Oh,
You guys,
yeah. Yeah, this really, again, this not only are we just getting a decent, I'm fairly certain this isn't going to be like a large content patch, which is fine. It goes back to what Chief was saying. Having constant large content patches is actually, it can be detrimental to the game. When you're possibly fading out old content, bringing in new content, and again, it gets complicated, right? So for the new content itself, again, I don't know how much, again, for me personally, I'm mostly a PvPer, but I want to know your guys' experience in terms of PvP. I think this is fair. I think this is actually awesome. I really do, because in most games, you have the developers focusing on the masses, which in pretty much every single game that's PvE, right? Like 99% play PvE, and that's fine. No issue there, no complaints. But you can't segregate even the smallest population. You can't do that because it kind of puts a bad taste, at least in my mouth, even if I was a PvEer mostly. So I wanted to know what you guys think about the new content, the new patch coming out. Mostly, again, it seems like just a bunch of PvP balances, changes, a new battleground and whatnot. So, Chief, let me know what your thoughts are on this upcoming drop.
Well, I think they're doing it right. Like you said, they're rotating their focus for each content, just like most games where they'll rotate their focus on a class or a specific element, and they'll rotate through them. The only downside of that is if it takes so long between balancing one class to another that you get so far spread apart, then you cause more problems. But here you're talking about PvE to PvP and then whatever's next. It's a really great way to do it. And I do like the new PvP battleground that's coming out, mostly because it adds strategy to the battleground where you weren't getting that until you got to war plots. Because like you said, the current battlegrounds are a cluster, and this one actually has some strategy involved needed, because especially you got the bombs!
The bombs.
And you can blow up your own team, right?
That's messed up.
That idea, because now you got consequences for being
that's like my favorite part.
Is blowing up your own teammates.
I would love to do that. I'm so mean.
But yeah, I think it's going the right direction. I think the Battleground is a really good thing, and I look forward to trying to play it. We just hope that it doesn't make a desert of all the others.
Right. And that kind of scares me just a tiny bit. Where we're, again, possibly fading out old content. I don't think it's going to happen, because you're still going to have different variations of Battlegrounds. The three of them are still completely different from each other. So you can definitely, you know, like have a specific flavor for that week or day, whatever you want to play. So that's fine too. But again, it also seems like this Battleground is increased in the scales increased pretty significantly, because they allow mounts now. They're actually, because you can't have mounts in Battlegrounds now. So that's a big change that a lot of people, I'm sure, would like. So Chrissy, again, I
think we've established my affinity.
But I want to know again. I need to know more. I need to know more about what you think about the upcoming drop, and also add on, like, especially with hope. You know, and I need to ask you this again, Chief. So I'll get back to you on this one about what PvP changes you think we need. I know class balance is a forever. You know, it's like I kind of want to say Russian roulette, even though in a sense it really isn't. But it's just a never-ending wheel, just keeps on rolling, right? You're never going to have classes perfectly balanced. So, Chrissy, tell me about your experiences and what you think about the drop.
I think it's awesome that they did a PvP drop, since they just came off the huge PvE drop. Wildstar is the game that's play the way you want to play, and in order to keep it that way, they are going to have to continue to drop for PvE, drop for PvP, drop for housing, drop for crafting. Like, they're going to have to address all of these things and give new content to all these things if they want to continue to be the game that we say is the game that lets you play the way you want to play, whatever that style is. So I think it was important to drop this PvP drop right after the PvE drop, because I think Mr. PvP McPeverson was a little sad that he didn't get any content last time.
Yeah.
So, yeah. And I will definitely attempt to try this Battleground. It definitely looks like something more I would like to play than the other two.
Can I ask
I've only
why?
played actually that first one with the masks. And it was not a great thing.
Not a great experience. So you just want bombs that blow everybody up, huh? That's fair.
Pretty
I can
much.
understand that. That's completely and utterly understandable.
I wonder if they're going to have a friendly fire counter at the end.
Oh, I'm sure. I wouldn't doubt it.
I'm just going to count all my kills as kills, whether they kill my friends or my enemies.
You're evil. I like it. I like this new
I'd
side
like
of you
to
I've never
kill
seen.
more of my friends than my enemies, though, just because.
Just because you can?
Yeah.
That's fair.
Yeah.
That's fair.
Well, it'll kind of just make me feel better, like I can actually kill things in PvP, so...
Bombs.
Chief,
again, I wanted to get back to this for you, Chief, is again, what do you think we need to see in terms of balance? Whether it be class balance, maybe the mechanics of each map, per se. What do you think?
So, that is a bomb question. So
it is.
So, I think it isn't so much a balance issue for the classes. And I've said this before, maybe not on this show, but I think where they did the injustice to the separation from PvE to PvP is the stats go on the exact same pieces of equipment. So what I mean is, when you go to, right now, you have this issue of people getting really good PvE gear, and then they augment it with a couple of pieces from PvP, and they're overpowering somebody in full PvP gear. And I think if they had made the gear the same, PvE and PvP, but added different slots that are only activated when you're in the PvP area to give you those different stats, you wouldn't have this issue. PvP gear only gives you benefits in PvP. PvE gear is that just it. It's PvP. And same thing with having kind of the way they have the different stuff on the right. You have stuff that's just your weapons augment and it does certain things, your shield buff and stuff like that. I think they could have done something like adding a bandolero on you when you go into a battleground, and that has special PvP stats. And I was hoping they would do something like that, and they don't. And now we have the situation where you have this mix and match of PvE and PvP gear, and you're trying to balance that issue rather than just keeping it completely separate.
Right.
That's just kind of my big shot in the dark. It would have fixed everything if they would have just kept it divided.
That's fair. And I get that. And actually, that's a huge point because, again, for someone who's actually gotten... I already have all the highest PvP gear, 1800 gear you can get. And again, it doesn't behoove me to equip all pieces. It doesn't. Because not only am I sacrificing lesser, higher stats from PvE gear, there are specials on PvE gear that are just far superior. For instance, you got protection on your shield. It's pretty much permanent. You have a permanent 1 interrupt armor on you. Constantly. That's an issue. Because, again, from my personal experiences from PvP, there's just too much interrupt armor going around. In my opinion, it should just be from your skills alone, not from items. That's an issue. Again, another one, Dasher, on your boots. It increases your endurance regeneration by a ton, while also increasing your movement speed when you dash. That's far superior than any of the PvP item specials that you're going to get. So, and not to mention the scaling in which your PvP stats go up significantly reduces once you hit 40%. See, when you have your PvP stats of offense and defense, once you hit 40% on your character sheet, anything higher than that, it's significantly reduced. Like there's a soft cap, you know what I mean? So it really doesn't benefit you to go above that, but to get these PvE items to slot in that are far superior, not only in stats, but in specials. And that should not be the case. It's like you said, PvP gear should be superior against players, while PvE gear should be superior against the AI. It only makes sense. And again, I believe they're actually fixing that in this upcoming patch. I'm actually 99% sure, because they put out a post a couple weeks ago about what they were introducing and what they're going to do. So I think that's actually going to be fixed on August 2nd. So I can't wait for that as well.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is I would have loved to seen your gear is your gear. The main slots we have now, you spec for tank, or you spec for DPS, or you spec for heals. Then you have a separate row of PvP items that slot in there that only benefit you in a battleground, but you still equip them. Get rid of this having to have 2 complete sets. That drives me nuts. I would rather have empty slots if I only PvE and never fill my PvP slots because I didn't earn them, that only give me PvP bonuses. And vice versa. You may not fill all your slots PvE-wise if all you do is PvP. Well, if you don't want to go out and earn a PvE gear, you might not have as much health when you go on the battleground. Have a reason to specialize in the content. And when you have 2 separate gears that overlap for the same spot, you have a difference. I'd rather have looks for PvP gear that overwrite the look of that, but you still have 2 separate equipment slots for the stuff. You only have 1 chest and it supports PvE. Maybe your belt only supports PvP. So you don't need it.
Oh, I see what you're getting
adventuring.
at.
You divide up what you equip based on the content you want to do. Same thing. I would like to see crafting gear. I would like to have a set of gear that augments my crafting while I'm crafting. I have to swap that out, but it's very specific to the content. It supports what I like to do. And they didn't do that. They overlap, just like a lot of games. Oh, I have a PvP chest, and oh, I forgot to swap it out now that I'm going to a dungeon, Right. Now I hurt myself, Why not just have them separate?
There you go. He couldn't have said it better. Chrissy, again, I want to know your opinions on this because, again, this has been one of the biggest issues, again, coming from mostly from, me being a huge PvPer, is, again, for me personally, and this is kind of going back to what the Chief was saying, is if I go into World PvP, or if I go into a battleground, if I go into an arena, whatever the case is, and I'm fighting another player, if I have PvP gear and you don't, I should overwhelm you significantly. I should. Because
I agree.
I've earned that gear. This gear isn't effective against the AI whatsoever, right? Now, granted, if you outplay me enough, you should be able to beat me. If you have far superior skill, then yes, you should be able to eventually beat me. I'm not saying you can't take that into account. But what I'm saying is that if you and me have equal skill, I have PvP gear, I should overwhelm you. I mean, it's sort of cut and dry, I think. And I
It
think
just
that's what
makes
we're going to
sense.
do, right? What do you think?
I agree. That just makes sense. PvP gear should be better in a PvP situation than PvE gear. That's just makes sense. Why have it if that's not the case?
Right.
Right, and
And,
that makes it more dynamic for PvP servers where there's open world. You know, do you get to use all your PvP stats when you're not in a battleground? Or do you get to use them all and, like you said, just completely annihilate everybody because they're running around in PvE gear trying to quest? You know, now it becomes a real serious balance of what you wear when, you know, and I agree with you. They should be able to kill them easier if they're equal and dressed differently, you know. But it shouldn't be so diversely bad that your chest for PvP shouldn't give you 4,000 armor to his 1,000 that he gets for PvE just because it's PvP. Because now you have an advantage against PvE mobs also. So, you know, it's that overlapping of stats. Sorry, I stepped all over you, Chrissy. Back to you.
That's all right. That's a definite balancing act, and the more you think about it, just the more involved it gets, and it's, wow. But some of those specials that you were talking about on your shield and boots, those actually sound like PvP-specific abilities on PvE gear, which is kind of weird. If I saw something like that, I would be like, oh, that's a PvP talent. And I wouldn't like even be interested in it unless I was going to do that new battleground, which I am going to do.
Bombs.
Bombs.
And that leads into a very good thing. Not only do you need to fix the gear, I think there should be different skills that are PvP related that you can't equip out in the world unless it's a PvP server, you know? Have your skills be very distinct, you know?
I think that, I mean, I don't disagree with that at all. It's just that I think that might be going to the extreme.
Well, it is going to the extreme. It's just another option to consider when you're talking about balancing all this out. Well, if you didn't have to balance the damage of a skill against a mob fights against another player, much easier to balance in the long run, right?
Yep.
Right. Absolutely. No, it is in essence. Now, what about this? Again, this kind of just came off the top of my head when you were discussing potentially adding new skills that are more effective or only useful in PvP. And I want, again, both of you, obviously. Now, this was implemented in many other games, and the more recent one, Guild Wars 2, did this to some extent. Skill splitting. And what I mean by skill splitting is have the same skill, in both PvE and PvP, but maybe, for instance, it be more damaging in PvP and less damaging in PvE, or maybe have this, having, like, say, for instance, I throw a grenade at you as the warrior and it blinds you for 5 seconds. Say that blind is reduced to 3 seconds in PvE, or vice versa. You guys kind of see what I'm getting at? Essentially keep the same skill, but reduce the efficiency or increase the efficiency of said skill depending upon the environment that it's in. What do you think to help with balance? So that way you can kind of keep what you want in PvE, but balance it in PvP without drastically changing the skill, but increasing or decreasing its effectiveness. Chrissy, let me know what you think.
That would be pretty cool if it was like the only place you ever PvP'd or separately PvE'd was in Battleground or Arena, but if you have open world PvP, I just don't see how that could even be, how they can make that happen.
No?
I don't know.
I see the problem there was because what if you, like you're an Esper, right?
Okay.
You throw out your spinning blades and you hit a player and some mobs. Because part of open world is dragging mobs to help you kill the other guy. Now how is all that going to work when it only does partial damage against a player because it's not open world? I like the concept, I do. If they could make it work, hey, game on. And it would make people be able to play the way they like to play because you get attached to abilities. Even if they're not the best ability, you might like playing with it just because the way it kind of operates, it looks, it feels when you play with it. So,
right.
That would be a good tie-in to the play the way you want. So,
I just think that again, I don't mind adding new skills. I'm all for it. Again, that adds new flavor to the game, and I think eventually that should happen. I just think that for the short term, in terms of, for the balancing act, maybe make it just, again, keep the skills exactly the same, but change their efficiency or change their effectiveness slightly or significantly, depending upon the environment that you're in. Again, so you can keep that skill that you like, but its effectiveness is slightly lower, slightly. I'm not exactly sure what they should do with each specific skill, obviously. I'm just like, again, putting out an example of what they could do to keep the skills, but again, make it so you can, like, say for instance you have an overpowered skill, okay? Assassinate. I'm just kidding. It was actually you, because you play a spell singer, but
Bird strike.
Bird strike. Oh God. But say you
like a stalker now. Don't insult me.
But you have an overpowered skill that you would consider to be overpowered in PvP, but it's effective and it seems pretty fair in PvE. You know, keep its power in PvE, but lower its effectiveness in PvP. Do you kind of see what I mean? So you keep the skill, but it's not ridiculously powerful against the player in the player versus player environment. Does that seem a little more reasonable?
Well, yeah, and you could do simple things like the stalker. Some of their abilities are positional based.
Okay.
You make it hit at a wider position than PvE, but a lower PvP. I could see all of that working, but it would definitely take a serious scrub through there. But I also see that we don't have enough abilities based on the progression that each class should have, in my eyes. So there's potential for adding stuff in there that would also be specific to one situation or the other. But you know,
that's fair. I understand. Again, this is just something that kind of crossed my mind, and it was something that I experienced in other games, and it worked to an extent until said game stopped skill splitting. You know what I mean? Like, it worked in balance until they stopped doing it. So I thought that was a little awkward, but I was kind of hoping, or maybe they should. I don't know. Again, it's all a balancing act, as you two know. Again, we've played games. We know it's an endless wheel. It's an endless spinning wheel of just balance that's never ever going to stop. You know, you're going to have a flavor of the month one month, whether it be Warrior or Spellslinger, whatever the case is. Next month, they may be nerfed into Oblivion. Who knows? It's just the way things work. All right, so I thought that was a pretty solid discussion on it without, because again, I've had a discussion very similar to this where I've gone crazy, like just ridiculous, because, you want to have your class not nerfed into Oblivion, right? But you also want another class to just get destroyed. So, again, to each their own, I suppose. But now,
Chronos just said PvE
that?
bird attack, PvP skinny bird attack.
See, you know what? The funny thing about that actually makes sense. You could literally make the telegraph smaller or bigger. You know what I mean? It actually makes sense. It's funny, because it's true. Right? It's like you said with position, right? We were talking about a second ago. Have a positional attack from a stalker be smaller or bigger depending upon the environment. Same with any other skill. You keep the skill, but you have to be more tactful in how you use it depending upon where you are, right? So, ow. Oh!
And it could hit less targets.
That hurt. Yeah, it could. That's true too. Again, like I said, it's something to consider. And again, I think it would go a long way. Again, I don't mind. Again, it's like you said, I don't mind adding new skills to the game. I think it's a great idea. Add flavor, awesome. But the short term, I think skill splitting would be the way to go, just for short-term balance. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying.
And new equipment slots.
And new equipment slots. And and I want sushi delivered to my house, Kronos, on a daily basis. Hey, did you guys know that EverQuest 2 did that, where they had like in-game pizza delivery service? I'm serious. In-game pizza delivery. Can we get that? Can we? No?
In-game
I want a chef station in my house, so when I cook food, people can come over and order.
Yeah, can we do that? Can we?
If I'm going to be a cook, I want to cook for people.
Yeah, what the heck? Okay, now we're
That's
making...
a crafting discussion. Save that for the next one. We're going to have a crafting podcast.
Oh, dude. But you know the funny thing about that? That's actually happened in that game. So again, just putting it out there. If you want to do it, I'm cool. But okay. So, do you guys have anything else you wanted to say on that topic? Because I know we kind of beat it to death a little bit, but it's been emphasized in a lot of games that it sort of makes sense in a way, right? Again, you don't want to just like completely get rid of a skill because it's too strong, right? So what you do is you keep that skill where it's, you know, somewhat balanced in the PvE environment or PvP, whichever, and then you just adjust it slightly or significantly, whichever you prefer. So yeah, you remember that. He remembers it in the game. It was awesome. It didn't work, by the way. It was terrible. It didn't. It was terrible. I ordered pizza once. It didn't come for 4 hours. Never again.
Well, they wanted to make sure you kept playing. Come on.
No, I'm not doing that again.
The system. It was working as intended.
That was awesome. All right, so the new mount coming out. Now, this again goes with the new content patch we're going to be receiving in the next coming week. Or I'm sorry, is it week and a half? Let me look at my calendar because I feel like an idiot. Oh, I'm sorry, about a week and a day. Okay, we're getting again that. Plus, we're also getting a new mount, which is awesome. Now, I talked to I'm not sure if he was directly involved in this, but a really nice guy. He's a developer. His name's Nathan. He works again for the art department in Carbine Studios. He was working with props and mounts and whatnot. I'm not sure if he had anything to do with this, but that's cool. New mounts, that is awesome. Especially, I'm not 100% sure on this. You guys might have to correct me on this one, but I'm fairly certain you can also customize this one as well. So I'm curious. The influx of mounts, I accept them with great envy. Please bring more mounts, because customization is amazing, right? We want that, right? Maybe not again huge content drops, but mounts are awesome. So, have any of you guys actually? I'm gonna have to take a look at this in a second, but let me see. 1 second. I'm sorry. Sabotage Mountie. I don't think I've actually seen it. I don't even think we've actually had. I don't think it's actually been released, the actual mount itself, but rather a notification that a new mount is coming out. Did any of you guys can clarify that for me? I kind of feel a little weird coming in unprepared a second there.
I don't think I've seen a picture of it. So.
I
don't think so. Kronos, has there been a new
hint.
mount? He's already here. We can ask him. No, but in essence, again, I haven't really seen it, but again, the introduction of new mounts are awesome. No issue with that whatsoever. Especially with the simple fact that the new battleground itself is going to allow to have mounts in it, which is going to be really neat. So you're going to see just constant people just running around with some ridiculous stuff with a rice bowl hanging on top of a gerbil ball. So
I would like to see some custom for that. Now that they got the PvP battleground that you can use a mount, I want to be able to customize the mount to actually help me with the PvP. Have a bomb carrier that it goes on his tail, but if you take too much damage, it blows you up. You know, let's get creative with these add-ons to these mounts. But yeah, give us lots of mounts. We need pets. We need fun-loving creatures in our house. We need to be able to put our mounts in our house when we're not riding them. You know, lots of stuff.
We want in-game delivery of food delivered.
That's you. I didn't know.
What was that, Chrissy?
I'm a collector, and I love mounts, pets. I want it all. Worse than Pokemon.
Really? You're going to catch them all?
I gotta have them all.
I want to be able to stuff creatures I kill and put them on my walls too. I'm dragging
players.
For God's sakes.
What about players? You want to stuff players too?
Well, that's too. Yeah, if I kill you, I want to put your face on my wall.
Wow. All right. Well, now you know exactly what to add for the next PvP drop. There you go.
I really do like the idea of a bomb carrying mount, though. Yes.
But the thing, and
Especially
again,
if you
just
can carry more than one, it's going to be really dangerous if you get killed.
well, the curious thing I'm wondering about is if you're again, this is just hypothetically speaking, okay? If you have this mount and you're carrying the bombs, should you be at an increased speed? Because then how are people going to catch you?
It's got to slow down.
I would think they got to catch you, yeah.
I think it would be nerfed a little bit with the speed, and then you dismount and dash away, and the bombs explode, and you kill all your friends and enemies.
So you have to do your friends too, right? That makes sense.
Well, they're probably all going to be in the same little cluster area fighting, so
oh well,
you can't really help it.
Oh well.
Collateral damage.
Oh well.
Part of the issue is, does the bomb take too much damage? Does the mount take too much damage? I mean, these are all factors in carrying that bomb. You know, it's not like you just carrying it and you drop it. Well, now it's going to blow up. Mm-hmm. You know, people could shoot you from a distance, and all of a sudden that bomb blows up on your back and kills you and your mount. Now you have a respawn timer that you can't use your mount because you just killed the dang thing. You know, there's so many things
that would
they
be
can
an
do with
interesting
this.
concept. I think that'd be pretty cool, actually.
Yeah.
See, I like the way we're going with this, and The bob mount was your idea. Wow, that's evil, man. Just so you know, Chief, he's taking your idea. Actually, no, I'm sorry. Was that your idea, Chrissy? I have short-term memory loss.
Oh no, that was Chief's idea.
I think it was Chief's idea, right?
I'm just cheerleading it on.
That's mean. That's evil. Okay, but again, I actually think it's actually, again, this sort of goes back to what we were talking a little bit with, again, small content, right? Mounts, I consider it to be very small content, but again, no one's going to disagree with the simple fact that, you know.
He's going to get a promotion.
For bomb mounts, really?
I expect a kickback.
A kickback? You want commission?
You can pay me in game. It's okay.
You want commission? Dude, that's evil, man. I love it. But what about, like, again, the constant introduction of smaller content? Do you guys have any issue with that? But, like, so small that we're talking about a mount here, a skin here, a new prop here. What do you think about that? Chrissy, let me know.
I think it's cool. I'd be all for that. The thing I was most excited about with the strain drop / strain, they could have just given me that.
That was awesome.
Like, yes. So.
What movie was that? I'm sure that came from a movie somewhere.
It's Alien, right?
It was Alien, wasn't it? Was it, Chief? Chris? I don't remember. I think that was. I'm telling you, it's got. Because that animation was hilarious. I couldn't get it off. I mean, you could sit there and just you could copy and paste it and just constantly repeat it.
Oh, and you could do it while you're shooting, and then it comes out, and then while you're sitting down, it makes you kind of lean back. Just all kinds of cool stuff.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I'm actually disappointed in the way they implement it. It was nice that everybody got it, but I actually would have preferred to earn it because it was that epic of an emote. People should have had to.
How would you earn it? I'm curious. Like, how would you do it?
Just part of the content. Do a storyline, achieve some achievement in PvP that's part of the strain battleground. I don't know. It just everybody doing it in town the day it launched. It's
so
like
funny.
That was awesome.
It was fun. Don't get me wrong, but you know what I'm saying. When you got something that cool, that epic, you also want it to be a little special. You know.
You want it close
they
to
could
your
have had two emotes, one that wasn't quite that drastic, that was free, and then you could earn the powered up, you know.
The powered up one?
Yeah. Maybe one that just sticks the head out but doesn't explode, and then you earn the one that actually explodes out and gets the full. I don't know.
So you're an elitist.
I was disappointed that it was just completely, utterly free to everybody for doing that.
I was excited that it was utterly free to everyone.
I like this argument.
Different philosophies, different strokes, different folks. We agree to disagree.
Do we? Do we really?
I don't know.
I think we'll agree that I'm right.
I agree.
That sounds good to me.
Especially with the bomb mounts and the bombs that are coming up to this patch, right? Oh, gosh. All right, so just now this one's another important one. Again, we've had some awesome topics tonight, but I want to finish on this one. The trials that, again, Carbine has been giving out to these websites to give out to players. I actually think this is actually a great idea, again, to help with players get their feet wet, right? Because, again, with any sort of commitment, because, granted, the game is, again, it's expensive, just like any other new game that comes out. I mean, you're gonna be slapping down an initial cost for the box and then a subscription afterwards, or if you can do the in-game currency of cred, that's fine as well. But giving the opportunity to the player to play it for a limited amount of time to see what the game is truly about is actually a really, really good way to allow people to understand what the game, you know, how the game plays. Because again, no one really, unless you've actually had a friend who you could play on their account or something, or whatever the case is, you really don't know how the game is played. I mean, you've seen videos, you know, you've seen the dev speaks, which are awesome, by the way. But on the opposite side of the spectrum, it's like everything else. You won't know it until you play it. It's not the same thing. It's not even close. So I think it's actually a good idea that it's giving the opportunity to other players, you know, to actually play this game for, you know, a set period of time. Again, because you guys got the guest passes, right? Remember when the game first came out, you guys got your guest pass. I guarantee you guys gave them away right away. I mean, I'm gone. I got none left. None.
Nope.
None. Chief, you got any? You're spoiled, don't you? You got like 10, don't you?
I didn't give all mine away.
I'm hoarding them.
I've been super stingy with mine because I feel like since I only got 3, I wanted to
hoarding
give
something,
them
but it's not passes.
to people who I knew were going to play it and would enjoy it. So I've only given 2 of mine away. One of them I just gave away this week.
Wow. I gave mine away like within like the first day of the game coming. Well, because I mean, well, I understand where you're coming from, that you're giving up to people that you know would really enjoy the game. For me, it's the opposite end of the spectrum. I want to give it to people who are uncertain, who are on the fence, but they want to give it a shot. Because I want to give them a fair chance at experiencing the game, even though they may not even like it, or they may love it. It depends on their experiences. So it's again, I just gave mine away randomly to people who knew about the game. They wanted to try it, but they didn't really want to put down the initial investment or the concurrent investment that you would have to normally have with the subscription model. So I actually had a great time with that. Again, giving them away. I mean, it sucks. I got none left. It sucks. But
yeah, I actually took it a step further. Same idea, but I made sure that I gave them to people that I knew couldn't afford it. Not just didn't want to, but I knew that they couldn't. And so I wanted to get them
you were
in,
teasing them.
get them to try it. Well, no, it's
Get them to sacrifice their weekly meals to play
Mortgage.
Wildstar.
well.
Lean on their
I mean,
house.
literally, a gamer's going to game regardless.
Right.
So if you know you have a gamer that has to stretch and make ends meet to decide which game to play, if it has a cost, and you know they're playing something else, why not give them a key to try the game you want them to come to, and then they can adjust their budget to make it work.
Right.
If they want to stay, or they work really hard to get the cred to pay, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, throwing keys out to just a random person that you know that can easily afford it was like, well, dude, go buy the game and just try it. You know you can, right?
But it's still a lot of money. I mean, again, some of us may not be in financial straits, and I get that, but it's still quite a bit of cash that you still got to slap down, and you may regret it. Or you may love it. It depends on the type of person that you are. So, or I'm sorry, not the type of person, but it depends on your experience and if you really enjoy the game. Again, I agree with you.
I gave mine to disabled people that I knew don't work and needed.
And that's awesome, dude. I have absolutely no issue with it. I'm just saying that, again, we have different, we have our different reasons to which we would give them away to, again, you want to give them to people who Chrissy, who you're certain that want to play, which is fine, no issue there. Same with you, Chief. You want to give them to people who you know can't afford it, but again, if they can adjust their budget, or maybe they're already playing another game, then they want to switch to this one, then they can afford it. Perfectly fine. Again, to me personally, I'm more of them. Just give them to someone, again, who's just on the fence. It's just, we all have our reasons to do it, and I think they're all very valid. But again, it depends on personal preference. So awesome on that one.
Well, and the fact that they're now giving it to websites that are going to put a lot of keys out there makes it even easier, because now we can just say, hey, go over there.
Yes.
You don't have to come get a key from me because I don't have one. But you know what? Plenty of them. Go.
There you go.
Get over here. Try the game.
That's why I'm excited about it. I'm just going to give my last key away to whoever asks for it next.
Can I have it?
Okay.
Well, and I've heard, and I don't know if this is a fact or not, I've heard that if you already have the game and you apply that 14-day free trial, it actually gives you 14 days to your current subscription. But I hope that's not true. So
That's awesome.
I know somebody's going to try it.
Someone's going to... Well, you know how it goes. It's going to happen. And it is what it is. Like I said, it happens. But, okay. So we that's pretty much our final topic for today. Do you guys have any final input on anything? It doesn't have to be about anything we discussed, maybe something about the future discussions, or just like something you may have encountered in the game, or any personal experiences. Chrissy, would you mind going first? Bombs.
I was really excited to hit 50 last weekend, and I really liked the voiceover, and I was really glad that I got to hear it because it had been bugged for me for like the 5 previous levels. So the level 50 voiceover is awesome. If you haven't hit 50 yet, you need to stop moseying around the zones and getting all the complete quests done and get to 50. Just kidding. But yeah, it was awesome. That was my favorite thing this week, or last week.
So are you calling everybody here who's not 50 a filthy casual?
I am myself pretty much a filthy casual, so
okay,
no.
that's understandable. I can get it.
I'm calling you a dirty elitist.
Yeah.
No, just kidding.
He's Mr. No Patience. That's why PvP is, because it's quick and dirty.
Isn't that how most... Never mind. Never mind. I'm going to skip that one. Never mind. Chief, I need to know, again, you got anything final that you want to, again, personal experiences, anything you've kind of encountered or anything like that within the past, couple weeks or since we did our last one?
No, I think things are still continuing good for me. I did kill Varath as a 4-man group with my guild and hit 20 doing it for my first time. It was pretty awesome that we actually did it at level as a 4-man and succeeded. That was pretty exciting. Tough, which was great. But no, I'm still level 20, still being very slow, filthy casual, slow-paced. I am stuck in a server transfer right now because of the wonderful You've Got Mail bug, but hey, hopefully that'll fix itself in a couple of days and I can get back to crafting.
Yeah, crafting is amazing, incredibly viable.
That's a future topic, big, all crafting.
Oh, that's going to take probably multiple, I'm assuming, podcasts.
We'll want some guests that are also excessively crafters like me. Just saying.
Just saying. Just saying.
I actually,
We'll get rid of those PvP people and...
Oh, all right then.
Oh,
we can do this then.
Yes, 48.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah. At 48, basically, I spent probably 2 or 3 hours crafting. And then I was like, man, I'm still level 48. But I gotta hit this target.
Right.
Add more ingredients. Yeah. Oh, man, that's definitely a whole new show.
Not even leveling because I was crafting so much. I literally was doing dailies and gathering materials every day for like a week and a half. I didn't gain a single level, but I was an expert crafter.
There you go. There we go. All right, guys. I want to thank you both for coming on here, and thank everybody on the channel who tuned into our podcast for the 4th episode of Into the Nexus. Again, we will be doing another episode. We have episodes twice a month on the second. Well, I'm sorry. The second and wait. Did I get that right? The second and fourth Friday of every month. So in 2 weeks from now, we'll put on another one, and we'll have topics to discuss on that, again, based on a couple of factors, such as, again, like any new announcements coming out or anything like that. So again, we all thank you for coming out. Thank you, Chrissy, who represents Mission Nexus. She's been awesome, and she likes bombs.
Thank you.
Bombs.
Bombs.
And Chief Sarkhan, I'm going to bow to the Chief from Wildstar fans at MMORPG.com. Thank you, sir, once again for coming out. I really appreciate it.
So in 2 weeks, we'll see you with some chin decoration?
I can't do it. My job won't let me grow. My job won't let me grow a beard. Oh. And again, I am Arkin Bigheart, and I represent Sitting on a Couch Gaming. So thank you all for coming in. You guys have a wonderful day, and I'll see you later. Take care.
Thanks.